to Faults in Our Psychology. I'm Christian Dennis. All right, I'm here talking to Eric Erickson. Man, your parents really knew how to pick a name, huh?
Yo, what's good? It's Eric Erickson. I'm here to talk about the stages of personality development.
So here's a fun topic. Babies. How do they develop?
Babies begin to develop trust issues. I mean, your parents change your diapers. How else are you going to get to trust them?
If babies have trust issues, then explain Drake. So toddlers, they need to develop too, right?
Well, that's when they become independent and they start to realize that their actions have outcomes.
So we've talked about babies, and we talked about toddlers. Now let's go into the school kids.
Alright, so at ages 6 and 7 through 11, they start to develop what is called industry versus inferiority. So this is where they start to develop sort of a superiority and pride against their peers and compare it to them, or maybe an inferiority that can, last the rest of their life.
All right, that was a great answer. Let's talk about teenagers. How do they develop?
Well, teenagers, this is where they start to develop their statement, who they are, whether they want to be a boy or a girl, a wimp or a wuss. So this is kind of a stage where they say who they are and make their statement.
So enough with these little kid talk. Let's talk about the legal stuff. The people that are above 18. How do they develop?
So at 19 to 64 years of age, that is when people start to develop love. Attracting the honeys, getting the spouse and everything, and how they develop their relationships with their loved ones.
Interesting. All right, now that we talked about the fun stages of life, let's talk about those old farts. Old people, explain.
So about 65 and up, this is a stage where people tend to reflect on their life because they have nothing else to live for, they're gonna die. So they wanna think about the good stuff that they did before their life. So they wanna reflect on that.
Cool. So, babies. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about babies. So there's a sensory motor stage that they're in, and the babies are just developing the senses and just exploring the world in touch and smell and sight and everything. It's very exciting.
Wow, interesting. So how about we talk about toddlers now?
Yeah, well, you got toddlers in the pre-operational stage, and here they're looking at shapes and symbols, and you kind of judge them based on how they understand them. You can kind of tell who's going to be the goat, and the ones that are going to be held back a few years. But they are very egocentric at this stage. They really only care about themselves, and we don't like those toddlers, do we?
I don't really understand what you're saying, but I agree. Britney Spears, schoolgirl. School age.
Well, yes, hello. Yes, in the school age, we have the children that are using logic now to solve their problems. They are looking and they're being rational, and they use shapes and symbols, and they are understanding what is going on in the world based on the rationality of their brains, Concrete operational stage, yes.
Adulthood. Let's talk about it.
Yes, you see, in adulthood, you start to think abstractly, and the pictures and the symbols, and what do they all mean in the concept, in the confines of life. And as you end your life and you're heading toward the end, you're looking higher level thinking. It's all about the abstract.
Wow, that is so deep. Touched. And now we're here with Lawrence Kohlberg. Well, Lawrence, I've noticed that you have a very unique way of explaining these stages of life. Could you please explain the first stage?
Well, the first stage is about punishment and obedience. So kids only do things so that they don't get punished.
Please tell me about stage 2.
Stage 2 is all about personal interest and what the child will gain from doing that action rather than avoiding punishment.
Please explain to me stage 3.
In stage 3, kids just want to be seen as a good little boy or a good little girl. It's all about how people see them, and that's why they act that way.
Wow.
Fascinating. Well, I had Chick-fil-A for lunch.
So, Quattro stage.
The 4th stage is all about following laws and rules because that's what you're supposed to do, so that's what everyone does.
5.
In stage 5, people learn their own ethical rules and see that all of the laws don't follow their personal ethical rules.
So yeah, stage 6.
Stage 6 is when they start to see everything as universal and more as a humanity ethical point rather than just their own personal idea.
That's sick.
And I think dogs are cute, but cats I don't. Hey, why is Pablo's hair so nice? Because of his classical conditioning.
That's all today for our show. Tune in next week.